Hello, and welcome to today's Facebook Live for Gear to Harvest. As a leader, are you facing employees that are leaving your organization at a high turnover rate? Maybe you are facing a corporate culture where people tend to be a little bit cynical with each other. Managers are complaining about the teams are really not very effective, and the teams are not living up to their standards. Maybe you're experiencing a high quit rate. Last June here in the U.S., according to the data that came out in August, 6 million plus people quit their jobs. And a lot of it has to do actually with how the employees feel about their work, and most of it has to do, according to Gallup, 70% of employee disengagement has to do with how the managers make the employees feel. Perhaps you're experiencing lower sales volumes, lower productivity than you actually would have, and it's not really related to COVID, but in general, you're experiencing that. So what can be the solution for that? And that's one of the things actually I talked about in this week video that tip I gave is how to be that confident leader. How to become the confident leader that actually helps your team become highly productive. Not only that, it lowers your turnover, and at the same time your productivity goes up, your sales goes up, and your employees really are more involved and enthusiastic about coming to work. And one of the ways to do that is to be a confident leader, to be a confident manager. If we haven't met before, my name is Fahim Karim, and I'm an employee engagement expert. And I work with companies that are faith and value-based, and I do that by creating a safe container where everyone gets to express their opinions and their ideas without being put down. Your managers get to lead and listen, and employees feel empowered and part of the team, and your company continues to grow and innovate. Now, as someone who's lived in 4 different continents, who has worked in operations in one of the largest financial institutions, I know firsthand some of the challenges that employees feel when they're working for really difficult workspaces with tight deadlines, continuous change coming your way, with people working from across the globe with cultural norms being different across the teams. I know what it is like to work in a cross-functional team where everybody has different priorities, right? Not everybody is looking at the same project with the same stakeholder mindset. Everyone is thinking about their own interest. How can we as a leader in those capacities actually be the reason why people actually draw close, they trust, and they're willing to cooperate and actually make that project or those change or transformations a success? That's one of the things I had first-hand experience, and I've received numerous awards for that. So if you're signing in live today and you're watching this live, I'd love to hear where are you signing in from, what are some of the things that you're seeing in your organization or at your workspace that you're seeing the teams are struggling with, and what are some of the things that you saw also positive things in your leaders or in the things that you're doing also to empower your teams. I'd love to hear that, so please feel free to put that in a comment. You see, employee disengagement is something that is really important. This is something that causes so much turnover. Just to give you some numbers, according to research done by Madison Approach Staffing, the cost of losing an employee who makes a salary of $50K is to hire a new one to replace that person, it costs you $16K. So to get the new person that you to replace the person you were paying $50K, the total cost comes out to $66K. Okay. Now, if you're trying to replace someone who you're paying $75K, it will cost you $25K. So you will be paying 100K. Same thing for somebody you're paying 100K, the cost of replacing that person is 33K. So 133K. If those numbers are not making sense in trying to improve your company employee retention, I suggest you get on a call with me, and then we will try to discover what are some of the challenges that you're facing, and find out what can be done so that your teams are moving forward with your talents and your expertise and your capacities, and that you're meeting your company financial goals each year. So did you also know that employee disengagement in worldwide economy, according to Gallup, costs the world economy $7 trillion a year. $7 trillion a year. Well, that's, the way it does that, it shows up in reduced profit, reduced productivity, sales goes down, your tenure of your employees goes down. All of this costs money. Imagine, let's say you have a high employee turnover. Every month you're losing more than 30%, you have a turnover rate of 30% or 35%. How many people you actually have to now recruit those replacements? How much time is taking on your staff to interview the new recruits, the new candidates that are applying? How much money is it costing you to post those jobs and monitor those jobs? How much money is costing you to have those empty desks while you don't have a replacement? How much money is going to cost you to get those people up and running, trained, of the new hires? And you're not making any profit yet. Your sales it's behind because you lost those employees. So how much more profit you have to make up for all those replacement costs, right? So a lot of times we focus on just growing our sales. Their sales is great. We love that. But what about the margin, right? So if your sales is going up and the margin is like this, then it's the same, right? So what you want to do is keep your margins low and build your sales. So then your revenues are actually coming in. So I like to highlight those, because a lot of times companies don't tend to understand how much employee disengagement actually costs them, and it really is very important. So the topic I wanted to focus on today is how to be that confident leader. So again, if you love to hear from you, what are some of the challenges you're facing in your organization when it comes to employee retention? When it comes to how are you training your leaders to become that go-to coach that your employees love to work with? I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear about that. Here in the US, according to Gallup, the disengagement rate for employees is 60%. Amazing. That means more than 30% of our workers are disengaged. On top of that, you'll find there's a thing called the Great Resignation, also published by Gallup, research work that shows that the remaining workers that you have, out of them, 50% of them are actively looking for another opportunity. Why? According to Gallup, 70% of that has to do with the managers. So let's try to solve that. I want you to have managers who your employees love to work with. I want you to be that leader that your employees really enjoy working with. Some of the things I'm sharing here with you are things I struggle with myself. I was a manager leading billion-dollar operations. Yes, I may be out sometimes at my early career. Outside, I was very successful, but inside, confidence was missing, right? You may be somebody who's getting all those awards and accolades, but deep inside, you're still not confident being yourself, right? How many times do you ask yourself consciously, really? People might tell you when they see you, they'll say, you know what? You're the most positive person I know. But deep inside, take a note of your subconscious mind. How many times you ask yourself, like, I'm not good enough. I'm not beautiful enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. My body's not that good. I'm not that good in speaking. How many times we have those chatter? And how many times we actually believe that chatter? That's more important, right? So confidence comes from appreciating our God-given talent. Each one of us are created uniquely. I grew up in a different culture. I grew up in different countries. I speak different languages. I know amazing people from different ethnicity. That's what makes me unique and beautiful. You have something different. Each one of us are unique. So when we embrace that, rather than trying to be like somebody else, which we sometimes do in our career, like, oh, I got to be like this person. My boss is comparing me with that person. That doesn't help. When we actually look deep and we really take account of all the good things we are good at, that's the first step. Recognize you are amazing. Recognize that you are talented in many aspects that others are maybe or may not be, and who cares about others if they're talented? If we compare ourselves with somebody else, it's a losing proposition. The only person we can compare ourselves is my own self to yesterday. Am I better than what I was yesterday? Am I doing something to improve myself from yesterday? Or am I doing something actually that's worse than how I was yesterday as a person, as a human being? Especially when no one is watching, right? So that's the first step. Take account and appreciate your good qualities. That's the first step of being a confident leader. When I started to be authentic, and I started to really embrace my own self rather than trying to be like somebody else, it was initially difficult. It's not easy. The brain wants to do the easy thing. Here, let me give an example. Like 1 plus 1. What's the answer? You know it too. Okay, 5 plus 5, 10. Okay, 75 plus 217. Well, that wasn't easy. And you want to count that, right? So the brain naturally wants to avoid things it cannot do quickly. And usually the frontal lobe, we use it for things that we have already done, we're really good at, and then we can rapidly use that. But the back of the brain, which is, if we're comparing the world, the size and the capacity, the frontal lobe, or the where we do most of those quick decisions, is like the size of 1 cubic feet. And according to neuroscience, the subconscious mind is the size of a cosmos. Huge. And yet on the subconscious mind, we are so negative about our own selves. We are so unappreciative about our own selves. And when we are that way, we also tend to look at others sometimes that way. Perhaps we grew up with, in an environment where we faced a lot of people who weren't nice. And now we tend to take a look at other people who are actually new colleagues, who are much coming from different background or different work ethics. Somehow we tend to look at them with the same lens. And if we're not conscious about our own biases, then we're not going to be able to treat those employees the way they deserve to be treated, with kindness, compassion, and care. Which bring me to my second point, which is, rather than focusing on the faults or the shortcomings of the employees, let us focus on what am I not good at, right? Because when I'm aware of what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, then I'm not going to start to be, that's first, then that should help me to stop thinking about and being threatened by somebody else in the team who's more successful in something else. You want to surround yourself. You want to surround yourself with smart and intelligent people. Let's not be threatened by them. And why? Why do we fall for that? Research shows that we tend to make these kind of negative assumptions of ourselves sometimes because we compare ourselves with others. We measure our worth by how much money we make, right? Yet our worth is so much more. It's not based on our self-worth is not based on our net worth. So measure not your self-worth based on your net worth. And we tend to focus, we don't focus on what's good in our employees. I'll give an example from the U.S. Marines. This is a true story. These particular Marines that were going through training, they were given they were SEAL teams. They were given 3 boats, and they were asked to cross a particular distance. and to see which team wins. So the team, one of the teams that won, the leader was he was supporting his team all across the whole journey, and the team was successful. So the SEALs team, they said, okay, now let's take the team that was the last. The only thing we're going to change is the leader. We're going to take the leader who was the leader of the team that lost, put him with the team that became first, and let's take the leader of the team that was first and put him with the team that was last. Guess what happened? That's right. The team that was last became first again. Became first. Why? Because of the leader. You make the difference. You are the person that's going to empower your team. People are so lonely out there. The data on loneliness is just really very sad to look at. There's so many of us out there that during this COVID, this loneliness actually is even heightened so much. And so when your employees are coming to work, they're looking to find also a place where they feel cared and loved. So when you as a leader are confident about your own abilities, and you also know that, you know what, I'm not good at certain things, that's okay, but I need to be aware of that so that I don't feel deficient, but rather I actually complement that by my team members supporting me in those areas and letting them know, hey guys, this is something I'm not going to be good at, so bear with me. And so at the same time, recognizing it, looking for good in each and every one of your employees. Try to highlight that for them. Let them know, hey, I noticed, I don't know if you realize this, but you really have this good skill set. And I really appreciate that. And to do it often, praise them often. So when your teams see that you're not embarrassed by your being authentic, you actually feel happy to let your team members shine, to let them present in front of the other leaders, that you're proud of their accomplishment and you're recognizing them openly, you become that confident leader. You become the sought-after leader that your other teams members would love to work with, because people like leaders who care for them genuinely. And by you caring for them, it first starts with you caring for yourself. And not from a place of selfishness, but from a place of compassion, right? And at the same time, you avoid constantly finding faults in others, because that is arrogance. Arrogance is constantly looking at what's deficient in everyone or everything that we come across. That's a big thing to avoid. So I hope that was of help. I want to leave you with one last story. Example. This is a daughter. She finished her graduation, and I recently saw this post and really I loved it. It's dad. Her dad said, "My daughter, here's this used car I have in my garage. Take it to the local used car, take a picture of it and take it to the used car dealer and ask them how much they'll pay for it. It's an antique car." So the used car dealer said, "Okay, we'll just pay you $1,000. So the daughter came back and the dad said, "Okay, now take it to the pawn shop and see how much they'll pay you." So then she took it to the pawn shop, and the pawn shop said, "We'll just pay you $100. That's it." So now the dad said, "Now, my dear, take it to this antique, take it to this particular auction house who specializes in antique cars and see how much they'll offer you." And she was shocked. They offered her $100,000 for that particular rare car. So the point of that story for me is that as a leader, it's our job, it's our honor, it's our pleasure to find that talent in every single team member. While others may see them like a car that's really old or a car that may not be good, you want to look at them as a gem. You want to look at them as, oh my God, this person is so talented in this particular aspect, let me help them shine. And when you do that, they will love to work for you. They will go the extra mile for you. Your company sales are going to be going off the roof. Your productivity is going to be off the roof. You're going to be innovating more, and you will have less turnover. It's not so hard, people. So if you'd like to learn more, connect with me in LinkedIn. Send me a message, and if you have any questions about how you can improve the productivity of your teams, send me a message in LinkedIn, and we'll love to connect with you so that we can take a look at what's really going on in your organization and what can be done so that you are moving forward with talent that loves to stick with you. So if you are listening or watching this video later on, please leave a comment below from where you're watching it. What are some of the challenges you're facing in your organization? And I'd love to hear from you. Until we meet next time, God willing, tread softly, speak kindly, and love unconditionally.